Hello everyone, today we're going to be going over negative staining. Sometimes negative staining is known as negative, indirect, background staining, or something of that nature. Let's first think about the properties of some of these stains. The first staining that we did was simple staining, in which we had a negatively charged bacterium and a positively charged stain. That meant that when the two came together, they adhered, that's how you get a simple stain. In many ways, the negative staining is the opposite of that. We're not changing the charge on the bacteria. You actually can't do that, at least not easily. So we're going to change the charge on the stain. For this, we're going to be using Negrosin and Congo Red. We're going to use this one here, Bacillus megaterium, for Congo Red. And then off to the side here, we're going to use some Cocoria rosea with Negrosin. These are negatively charged stains. Now, what that means is, when we apply these stains, the charges are going to repel each other. And when they repel each other, we're actually not going to see the bacteria directly. What we're going to see is we're going to see an area around a stained background that is the size and shape of the cell. For this, we do not heat fix. So we're actually not going to be starting with heat fix smears like we have with others. We don't heat fix because if we heat fix, we burst the cells, we lyse them, and we no longer get what we need. The stain can flow into the cell, and it just stains the entire thing. We are doing what's called a thin smear, which I will be demonstrating here. And as I said, we're going to have two different types of stains. Our first one is going to be Congo Red. And our second, Negrosin. We are also going to have two different bacteria. The first one, Cocoria rosea. Second one, Bacillus megaterium. So, we have our labeled slides right here. And what we're going to start off with is we're going to start off with a sterile inoculating loop, or in our case, a disposable one. And we are going to transfer a small amount of our bacteria to the slide. And this is Bacillus megaterium. We're going to start with that. And then our Cocoria. Okay. Now we're going to need our stain. We're also going to need another slide. And we'll start with the bacillus. And we're going to add 2 drops. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to take our, and I used the wrong one for this, but that's fine, and we're going to slide right like that. Okay? Now, let's do it with a Congo Red. And now we let these dry using air dry. So now the question I want to ask everyone watching, why do we do this instead of, say, simple staining? What could the purpose of a negative stain be? Well, the first one is that it allows us to see more delicate bacteria, specifically bacteria that are damaged by normal staining. We get a much more true form of the bacteria since heat fixing isn't done. Heat fixing does reduce cell size. It also kills the bacteria, so in many ways the bacteria is still alive here. It's just covered in a stain that will kill it. So this is also a more difficult stain in the sense that since we don't work with dead bacteria, for some things like Mycobacterium, it can be quite dangerous. Look at the results of our negative stains. We're going to start with Cocuria rosea, and we are going to be doing this under Congo red. And we're going to increase power. And we're going to increase power again. This is now 40 times. And now you can start to see individual cells. That's a cell, clump there. Now we're going to move to oil immersion. Let it settle. There we go. Now you can see nice little clumps, which is typical of this species. And you can see that the cell itself is not stained. The cell is clear, but around it is the negatively charged stain of Congo red. Now let's see what the bacillus looks like under Negrosin. Okay. Let's bring it into focus. Notice how you can now see individual cells here. This is for two reasons. One, Negrosin is a darker stain, which means white is easier to see. And two, Bacillus megaterium is a significantly bigger cell than Cocuria rosea. Let's zoom in a bit, shall we? This is 10 times. 40 times. And we'll jump up to oil immersion. Now you can see this is a perfect image for a bacillus. Short fat rod, one right here as well. A bit of a streptobacillus going on here and here, but that's perfectly fine. Let's move around a bit. Here we go. Here's a better
better look. Let's take a look at that. Oh, that's beautiful. Once again, it's easier to see now since the stain is around the outside. This here, where they look like circles, those are actually cells that are turned on their ends. So if you look down a bacillus, it looks like a circle, even though it's not. We take a look. Here's some bacillus here, there. Some very nice cells for this stain.